So as I got older, when I turned 14 years old, it was like between 13 and 14, I started experimenting with marijuana. I was like, I want to get into weed. And I remember a lot of my friends just stealing money from their parents and going and buying weed and smoking. And again, I'm super young. I'm hanging out with kids that are a few towns over and that are a little bit older than me. So I go, okay, let me try to make a sale. So I meet another kid who has an older brother, and he's like, yeah, my brother wants an ounce of weed. I'm gonna say, okay, I can actually go and I can supply that. So at 14, I got on a public transportation bus. I drove, I went like 25 minutes down the road, went into a little trap house. There's a guy with a little gun there. I knew him. We had some mutual friends and contacts, and he gave me an ounce of weed, and it was like, I forget what it was. It was like $170 or like $200. So what I did was, my dad was a taxi driver at the time. So I didn't have any cash, but my dad would come home with stacks of cash and he would count it every night. So what I did was, in the morning, I was like, let me take that cash from him, okay? Because he'd have these piles of cash, and at the end of the month, he would deposit it all. Let me take cash before he counts it and notices it. Let me go and make the play. Let me sell it. Let me get the spread, and then let me put the cash back. That's exactly what I did. I took the cash. I went out, I bought the ounce. The next day, I sold it, and then I made that spread. And I think I probably made like $40 or $50. And I was like, wow, I made $40 or $50.
So that was kind of your first foray into entrepreneurship, and also
correct,
a relatively high pressure situation, because if you got caught at any level, I'm
especially
sure your parents,
at that time, right? Yeah. Because number one, my parents, right? The principals in the family, like, you do drugs, like, you get beaten the fuck out of. Like, that is just a typical Muslim household and family. And there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, but it's just very principled and very disciplined, right? So I knew that I couldn't get caught, number one, high stakes. But number two, I'm 14 years old, right? So to me, and even at that time, it was a lot more strict, a lot of the rules around marijuana. But at that time, I'm like, I'm carrying this thing. What if I go to jail? Like, I don't know. Are they going to lock me up for life? Like, what's going to happen? I just have no idea.
Were you terrified on the city bus?
Yes. Well, when I went there and I picked it up, I wasn't terrified. But then I put it in my, this is actually really funny. So the house that I bought the ounce of weed from was right next to a mosque where we went to pray.
Allah could not have been happy with all this.
It was wild. And I put it in my bag, and I'm walking down the street to the bus stop, and I'm walking by the mosque, and then one of my dad's friends sees me and comes over and like says hi, and what are you doing? And I'm sitting here like sweating bullets, talking to him like, what's going on? What's going to happen to me? And then I just keep walking. I talk to him. I say whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, that was a close call. Hopefully he didn't smell it on me.
Yeah. How did you wrap it? Did you do, were you careful?
No, it was just in like a little saran wrap, like roll.
It's a classic 14-year-old operation where you weren't really thinking about the...
Nada, dude. Yeah. I wasn't thinking about anything. So then I went to the bus stop, and right before the bus stop, I had to take a piss. So there's a Pizza Hut right there. I still remember the street exactly. So there's a Pizza Hut right there. I went into the Pizza Hut. I went to the bathroom, and as soon as I came out, I went to the bathroom, actually. I took a piss, then I went into the stall. I locked the door, and I was looking at the weed. I was like, oh, how does this look? Like, what is this? Like, is this real shit? Blah, blah, blah. Then I bagged it up, and I was like, oh my God, it really smells in here. Like, smells a lot like dank in here. So put it back in my bag, and then as soon as I walk out of the bathroom, I see a cop.
Oh, God.
And I'm just like,
were you paranoid as hell right now?
Dude, I was so paranoid. I literally am like, I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. Luckily, there was none of that. He was just there to get some pizza. So I walked out. I went on the bus. I was trying not to look at anyone, thinking that everyone's looking at me a certain way because they know I did something. I went back. I didn't go straight home. I went to my buddy's house, and I was like, here we go. Here's the ounce. Give me the cash. I got the cash. I put it back on my dad's little drawer where he had all his cash, and I made my spread, and that was my first $40 or $50. And I was like, okay, now I have money to be able to go out there with all of my friends that have the money to go to the mall, because I know I can't ask my parents for it. They're not going to have enough cash to do this. I'm going to feel really bad asking them for it. So I'm going to kind of go about it this way.
What emotions were running through your head? Because you just had your first successful flip. What kind of emotions were you experiencing after you got the cash safely back to your dad's nightstand?
Yeah, I was just freaking out, just like my heartbeat running at 1,000 miles per hour. But as soon as it was done, the emotion flip was just like, wow, this is cool. I figured it out. I actually like this adrenaline. And that led to me doing it over and over and over and over again.
Now, Zain, I know you to be a terrific entrepreneur, but did you spend your re-up money at the mall on shoes, or how did you keep it going? Because it sounded like you made an entrepreneurial 101 mistake.
So again, right, I was and I'm not proud of this, but I was a little menace, right? I hated rules. I hated school. I hated everything. So I went to the mall. It's called the South Shore Plaza in Braintree, Massachusetts. I went there. It was a little nicer town than where I was from. And I think I went to Lids and I bought a hat. I bought some other stuff. And then I went to buy a pair of headphones at a store called FYE. And then my next genius idea came. I was like, oh my God, I'm in this headphone section. There's like 100 headphones here and there's no cameras in this one corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to grab all these headphones and just shove them in my backpack. There's no tags on them that are going to make the alarms go off. And I'm just going to walk out. And I literally probably put like 40 pairs of headphones in there, these little skull candy earbuds.
Yeah, those were huge at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I put them inside the backpack and then I walked outside and it was good. And then I left and I went back to school and I sold all of them for half off basically.